Hey there, I'm Alexander Culberson. Today I'm going to show you and teach you about a food that means a lot to me and should mean a lot to you. You clicked on to the video about a story of a soybean. In this brief video, I will explain a tad bit about the soybean impact on the economic differences of the soybean, the environmental effect of the soybean, and the social impact of the soybean. And most importantly, the life cycle of the soybean. I will cover the soybean from start to when the soybean was first planted and grown for harvesting, to finish when the soybean has been affected, treated, and stewed up to something new, like soy milk. Let's kick it off with some facts. Anytime now. Yep, facts. The soybean is mainly produced in these 5 globalized countries, where it is transported and farmed, providing for the whole world. Number 1, the United States of America, with 33% of production in the soybean industry. Number 2, Brazil, with 27%. Number 3, Argentina, with 21% of the soybean production. Number 4, China, with 7% of the soybean production. And lastly, India. Anyways, let's get to the life cycle. Step 1 of the production of the soybean. So, to begin the life of the soybean, the seeds are cultivated or tilled in large crops by a tractor, which deposits the soybean seeds about 1.5 inches deep in rows that are up to 30 inches apart in fertilized ground. Now to step 2. In an estimate of about 65 days later, the soybean will have reached its point where the plant will look a certain dull yellow, as though it looks dry. It will then reach the standard height of 3 to 4 feet of the soybean plant. Once the soybeans are at the right stage, a tractor with a massive combine attached will cart through the crops, slicing the heads of the soybean plant and storing them in the back. Next is step 3. There is then 2 places the soybeans are taken to. One is the combine that recently excavated the seeds. Will transport the fresh soybeans and export them to a buyer of a company that will be taken by truck, where the soybean will be modified and affected to be available for the consumer. Or the farmer may choose to take the better option for our earth, and that is storage. Most soybean plantations have massive buildings made for soybeans to decrease our overselling to clients who may waste this food and can lead to food waste. Link in the description for my Prezi on food waste. Let's now move on to the main ways the soybean is used and useful for. For number 1, we have animal feed. It's quoted that 98% of the soybean meal is crushed and further processed to feed animals, while using the balance of protein and soy flour and oil. The second use of soy is pretty much anything else. For example, we have soy milk, and soy protein. Then we have crayons, and candles. And lastly, tofu, our traditional dish for vegetarians or vegans, your choice. Also, it can be used for non-edible reasons like biodiesel, soaps, soy ink, and soy adhesive, also known as glue. You could say soybeans are definitely a multi-purpose product. So right now I'm guessing you are wondering, what happens when the product is bought and where does it go? Well, the soybeans, or the soy oil, is usually flown across the world, making it an extremely global and for everyone to access. Soy is either transported by cargo, ship, or in train. Both of these machines and or transporters hold in great bulk. And lastly, of course, the truck. And I would like to add, the soybeans are held in woven natural materials or woven plastic bags. Now, let's move on to a bit about the environment. The 3 effects from soybeans are deforestation, killing of the species, and gases, or greenhouse gases such as carbon, that affect our Earth today. However, these producers and plantations that are involved with soybeans are trying to make a difference. They are trying new methods on lessening use of gas. They are also trying to move plantations away from jungles and habitats to sacrifice just so they don't affect species and destroy lands. Let's now change once more to the social effect of soybeans. Now, why are soybeans rated one in the 10 foods in the world? Well, one, yes, because of their multi-use, but another is the content and nutrition it provides. It is one of the most plentiful nutrient foods sources in the world, with vitamin B1, B2, magnesium, iron, fiber, omega-3, phosphorus, and fatty acids. Oh, many more. However, that's all I have to say about soybeans, because if I go on, I'll turn this into a movie. But thanks for watching the story of a soybean.